What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm still using the hat camera. I actually do like it a lot. Right now, as you can see, this poor truck that's just sitting in front of me, well, it needs a lot of stuff and a lot of loving today. Long story short, this is my dad's truck. It's a 1985 Chevy C10, and what happened a long time ago when we were dirt track racing, we went to go pick up a new race car. My dad went to go get it with my mom in the truck, and sadly, as you can see with the door, they got T-boned really bad because the driver decided to T-bone them without looking or double checking or anything. Luckily, my dad was okay and my mom was okay. The truck did not suffer that bad. Actually, let me show you the truck real quick. Here's the actual truck. As you can tell, it is a factory short bed truck. That's what we want to keep it as. As you saw in the other truck is over there, that is the donor frame. Let me tell you why. As you can see, the fender and the door are replaced on this truck because that's where it hit. Sadly enough, this frame is bent. As you can tell by the cab in the back, it pushed the cab slightly forward as well. There's a big ass gap. It used to be a little bit tighter than that, but ever since that hit, it doesn't drive straight. The steering wheel is crooked, even though we got an alignment on it. And we found out too on the frame, the driver's side on this side right here, it's bent in slightly. So we could theoretically go get it fixed, get the frame straightened out and everything. However, as you see on this frame, it's freshly painted, looks nice and everything. There's a reason why. We picked up this frame for a really good dirt cheap with the cab, with everything. We are basically rebuilding this. Brand new power steering box, not a rack companion, what am I saying? Tie rods, center link, control arms, springs are still the old ones from this frame. And if you are really smart, just in the beginning of the video, you're thinking, oh, this guy doesn't know his trucks or anything, because you saw that. That is an 8-lug. That means this frame, it is a C20. Our C10 is a 5-lug. This one is an 8. This one, it has a little bit more heavy-duty parts and stuff like that, and we do plan to be using this truck for racing, towing, yard work, stuff like that. And that's the idea. Right now, it doesn't look like too much has happened because, you know, a lot of stuff, money, blah, blah, blah. You know how life goes. This cab we're not going to use because sadly enough, it is a hassle on trying to change VIN to the new VIN and stuff like that. Not only that too, I'm going to be making a separate video on how to replace certain body panels. Because here got crushed and a little bit of here got crushed and a little bit of the floorboard got crushed in the original cab. So me and my dad are going to be panel swapping a lot of this cab to the other one. Another reason why too we want to do that, because this truck is very special to us. This truck used to belong to my grandfather. For us, we call him Tata. And in 2020, sadly enough, I can't say the name or else the video get demonetized and stuff like that. He was taken by a virus and I didn't have a chance to say goodbye to him. I got the call at 2 a.m. in the morning and sadly enough he passed away. So he was very close to me. So the idea of what we're doing for this, me and my dad put our money together to get this frame, to beef it up, to get a little bit a longer lasting truck and a lot heavier duty. So the idea is we took that truck over there, has a 305 small block Chevy, only producing, maybe if we get lucky, about 200 horsepower. It's good, but we have a new motor. It is a 5.3 LM7 and we have left it stock, but we did hop it up. I'll show you the motor next time. For now, I'm going to be sticking what we are today. We are working on the suspension. The rear is being worked on right now. I'm not going to show you that until it's done. So today in this video I am going to be showing me just putting the rotors on. So as you can see, nice spindle and everything like that, a little bit of rust. What happens if you don't cover it or anything like that? So I'm going to clean it up, get the brake clean, stuff like that. It's pretty simple. Also too, got the rotors turned, got new bearings, got new seals, got new ish grease. Works, you know me. And today is my dad's birthday. Well, I'm recording this on February 25th. So to surprise him, he got them turned and everything. Well, I turned them for him because I work at a machine shop. Did that. I am going to be putting these on for him before he gets home, so hopefully I can beat him to it. And also I got the other side. And I know what you're thinking too. I am missing a shock. Well, we'll wait on the shocks for now because, you know, if we put the shocks on right now, it's going to go in the future. So I'm going to be putting the rotors on. If I have time, I'm going to put the brake pads and the caliper on. Okay, without further ado, let's begin. You know how it is. You can tell I'm putting gloves on, but there's a reason why too, besides obviously getting dirty. I do not have that little fancy tool to pack bearing grease into bearings. You know, the little cup thing, you squish it down and next thing you know, it's fully done, you go for it. I'm going to be hand packing these bearings. I got to do it both, pack more grease into the rotors and then slap it onto the spindle. Before then, I got to clean this son of a gun. I forgot, YouTube does not like cursing. Yeah, I'm not trying to make it like super clean. It just needs to be clean enough. I don't want the rust and with the grease or inside the rotors. You know, I want to make sure this truck is good. Oh, you're a heavy mother. So obviously, if you are younger and you're watching these videos and you're wondering, you know, about these bearings, these are called tapper bearings. Or roller bearings or whatever. I forget the actual name. It's been a long day. So these bearings just are these. They're cup style. They go into this cone right here, into this cup. And after you pack them with grease, slap in. Next, you will get your seal and you would tap it in place and boom, you got yourself a working, you know, bearing. It's not like today when you got a whole entire sealed unit and you just get 3 or 4 bolts, take it off, put it back on, you're done. Another trick too, if you ever want to own a square body style truck or any kind of old vehicle, you always make sure it fits. As you can see, the seal fits. The bearing is going to be a little tighter fit because of course it is meant to be pushed on, but it does fit. So let's pack these bearings and I'll show you how to do it by hand. The reason why too I'm wearing gloves is because this is the nasty part. If you are going to be doing this by hand, I recommend you get more than one set of gloves because you will grease everything up. So get yourself a good glove and just slap it in your hand. Don't try to put it on here, all that yet. Just put a little bit. And plus it gives a good coating, so just in case if you like forget like me all the time, it's basically natural waterproof. So what you do, I always like to grab it with your fingers in the middle and the fingers on the side and get it like that, almost like easy enough brass knuckles. That's the easiest way I can explain it. And what you do, you get these little lines right there where these bearings are and you squish it in. You squish it in as much as you can until the grease comes on the other side, so. And you keep doing that for the whole entire bearing. Also, thing helps too, you can actually spin the bearing if you hold it tight to get the bearing grease in there. Don't cheap out on this part when it comes to packing in the bearings. If you do not have any grease, just like an engine, if you cannot get it lubricated, it will break. So you don't want these ever to break, especially when it comes to your wheels and safety. So please do not skip out on the bearing grease. After that, before you put the bearing into the race, you want to at least have some grease in there for the spindle. But the extra grease, just slather it all in there. There's some older guys too that I've dealt with where they say, oh, you can never put too much grease in here. That is true, but it's also bad too. You do not want to overpack these full of grease because, yeah, I don't think you want grease on your brake pads. The next thing you know, it's going to be flying everywhere. So I always like to get at least some good grease in there. Something like that. I don't know if you can see inside of there. Don't mind about the cobwebs. And nicely tap it in there. Get your rag. I'm going to try to reuse the gloves a little bit. Before you change gloves, it's a good idea just to do this too. Make sure you do not get any grease on the rotors. If you do, just get a nice little, paper towel or something like that. and clean it off. After you get all that done, get your seal and you nicely place it on. Now, at this point of the video, if you watch other ones do these, you'll say, oh, get yourself a big socket or something like that. That is the ideal way. That is what you want because you want even pressure. I do not have a big enough socket, so I'm going to show you how to do it the other way, and it is called tapping. And what you want to do is to get it enough on the seal. If it's angled, try it again. I should have got lucky. Off camera, I was able to get the seal on there. So there we go. The seal's pretty good on there, and it's nice and stuck in there. Yeah. Best way I've learned to keep it somewhat simple, or not simple, the best way I found a good way to keep it level, if you do not have, you know, the proper flatness, you tap it 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep doing that until it's bottomed out, and you will feel it too. It will become solid, not hollow, and it will become nice and stuck in there. The only way to get that out now is, of course, to get like a flathead, break it out and stuff like that. And there we go, that bearing is in, so we're good. And now for a magic trick, I am going to change gloves. Clean. Oh my god, they don't make these things light. Mother, come on. There we go. And what I always like to do too, spin it a little bit. All right, we got it on. So next would be to put the outer bearing on, and I should have done this before I changed gloves, because you guessed it, I forgot to grease it. Even these guys can, you know, like me. Put the grease and put it onto that inner race that I showed you. There are 2 races, of course, if you don't remember in the video. One inner, one outer. And I like to get a little grease. And what you want to do is lift the rotor up slightly to get it on. Boom, we got it on. Next would be the washer. This little washer will go onto the keyway. There is a keyway right here for that little tab. And what you want to do is to slide it on, make sure it's nicely pressed firm against it. Would be the nut. This is called a castle nut. And the reason why they call it the castle nut is because if you look on top, it looks like the head of a top of a tower on a castle. So the reason why that there is for, there's a hole drilled into this from factory. So this nut doesn't come off. You put a cotter pin through that hole, and it goes through the channels of the castle nuts. That prevents it from loosening up on the road. You never want those to come off on the road. I've seen it so many times because people have not preloaded the bearing. And I'll show you how to preload. So we got it hand tightened just enough. Next, get yourself a pair of channel locks, vice grips, whatever the correct size wrench for this, and grip it. Slightly tight a little bit more. Just want to preload it. What I like to do is get it a little tight to where the rotor is starting to get nice and hard to spin. You don't want too much, you know, tension on this bolt because you don't want to heat this up at the same time. So what I like to do to preload it is give it a little bit of extra oomph just until the rotor feels a little tight. And then all I like to do is to back it off until you get the notch. So I just backed it off just like an extra side, you know, if you get my lingo, and it spins nicely, nice and smooth, which anyone would like. Next, get your cotter pin, and I should have explained this too. You want to line up the hole with that slot when you unload a little bit so you can get that spinning. As you can tell, it spins. I'm changing my gloves right now too, because this part gets a little harder, and of course I like a little bit of clean gloves when I do this part. It's called the cotter pin. Also too, sorry if the audio is not that great. I noticed that these GoPros don't have the best microphone. So I'm going to be stuck with it for a while. So if I sound muffled or I don't sound loud enough, blame that microphone. I'm going to be getting an external microphone, so you don't pick up the wind or any of the sound like Peanuts parents. So Charlie Brown's parents, I should say. So what you want to do next is I recommend needle nose, but it'll make your life easier. But yeah, oh well. Get your cotter pin, bend it inward. I always like to bend the cotter pins the opposite way, just because I don't like it bending the same way. I like to keep a little bit more secure on it. And same thing as last time. Tap it on. Luckily this has been off so many times you can easily tap it on with your hand. Get yourself the soft part of the hammer. Just tap it. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, the rotor is nice and on, and God, that feels nice and smooth. I know what you're saying. You left the rotor dirty. Common thing. I know how the YouTube comments are. Seen it so many times. So don't worry. I'm going to be cleaning it. And not like spraying it on, because of course there is paint on this, and brake cleaner is very aggressive on that. Like put a little bit on the rag, just wipe down the rotor. The reason why you do not want grease or anything on the rotor, all that is going to be making this surface slippery. Imagine driving on black ice. Is because you do not want to have brake pads that are really good. You stomp on the brakes to brake them in, and next thing you know, you are sliding. You never want that. So after you get the rotors nice and clean, you are done. It actually looks really nice. Even though for a used rotor, the one that came with the truck, still have plenty of meat to get it turned. Came out really nice. Look at that. Don't hear no grinding. It's on. And I can finally put the wheel on. But first, we need that caliper. We got ourselves a nice, almost functional rotor with a brake caliper. I should say that looks nice. I do have to make new lines because I did take the old ones off because they were rusted. I'm going to be putting steel braided lines and making a whole new brake system for the whole entire compartment. Of course, new master cylinder and booster, if that booster is good. Thanks, Siren. But yeah, I said we did a good job. Short video, but you know how basic YouTube videos start. So I'm going to end it right there. I'm going to do the other rotor on my off camera and stuff like that. So you know what to do. If you like my content, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And again, if you want to see anything different with the channel, hit it in the comments because I love to respond to it. Okay, until next time. See ya.